you have 1 minute after the Shiur?
What?
You have 1 minute after the Shiur, yes or no?
Always have 1 minute.
It's more than you told me.
We are streaming.
You get a mazel tov. I had a grandson this morning.
Where?
In Shaar Tzedek House.
That's right.
Okay, I just want to be Mavaris, a very Yisoidistic name, Yud Kei Vav, because it ain't safe. You want to get into this world. So we know all that. So I just want to, a bracha, when we make a bracha and we go from Nigla to Nister in one sentence, what we're doing is that's right there on the toggle between the infinite and the finite, between the Shemayim and the Aretz. I want to explain something which these are things we say all the time, and I just want to understand a little bit. What are Sefiros? So it occurs to me that the Pshat and Sefiros, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus, the Sefiros are the infrastructure which can carry the Malchus Hashem. What do I mean by that? And this is what I want to explain here, and I want to show you where it says this. It says this repeatedly, but it says this in Shaar Beis, Parak Beis, and Parak Gimel of Nefesh Hachaim. The Gemara says in Shabbos, in Brachos Nun Ches, the Gemara says that a Yisoid, that Malchusa Da'ara ki Malchusa D'Rakia. So there's a Malchus in this world. It's sort of independent of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malchusa Da'ara. But it's mirroring the Malchusa D'Shmaya, the Malchusa D'Rakia. Malchusa Da'ara to Malchusa D'Rakia. Why is there a Malchus in this world? What should I make a Malchus for if it's devoid of Elikus? The answer is it's an infrastructure. Malchus is the final midah of the Sefiros. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu put a sphere of chesed, is because that's part of the world needs chesed. From Hashem, from us, the world needs chesed. This is like creating an infrastructure with no life. It's like a dummy malchus. The world needs gevura. The malchus, the malchusa, the ara is, but it's technically it's actually a replica of the malchus d'Rakia. Because otherwise, how could there ever be a Malchus Hashem? Like, let's say, a mashal, a king like Achashverosh was going to move his capital to Shushan. He has to set up the whole infrastructure there. He has to have a capital building. He has to have guards. He has to have an army. He has to have a royal guard. He has to have everything a White House. He has to have all the different things there in order to have your Malchus there. You have to have a government. You have to have so HaKadosh Baruch Hu sets up this whole Malchus in the world, the Malchus Da'ara, so that at some point we can say, Ki Malchus Shochahi, that we can bring the Malchus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the Malchus Da'ara. That's why the Gemara says, they're in Shabbos, they're in Brachos, I keep saying Shabbos, they're in Brachos, La'olam yarutz adam likros malchus Yisrael. A person should run to see Malchus Yisrael. V'loi Malchus Yisrael bilvad amru ela afilu malchei hakum. If there's a malach hakum around, so you should run to see him. Shim tiske, because if you're zeiche, if we live long enough, tavchin bein Malchus Yisrael l'malchei hakum. So it means you could see Malchus in action by looking at Malchus Da'ara. It's a Gevaldik Gezach. This was said by Omer Rabbi Yossi, that we should go run. In fact, the Gemara says in an earlier place, I think Daf Gimel, Daf Daled and Brachos, where he says that by Kohanim, Medalgin Hayinu Al Gabi Aroinish Shal Mesim Likros Malchus Yisrael. V'loi Malchus, almost the same name. V'loi Malchus Yisrael, Belvad Amr Al Afilu Malchei Akum. The Kohanim would run through cemeteries. The Gemara asks a question, how do you allow to be matami yourself, okay? Where has a whole shakel v'tari there at the beginning of brachas. But the point is there was a tremendous chashivas. Who was Rabbi Yossi running to see? Titus. He was running to see Titus. The butcher. Go run to see Hitler. Shim Tiska, because what you're seeing there is an empty Malchus, but in Tiska, but if you're Zeicha, you'll see how that Malchus can get filled up with Malchus Hashem. So the Malchus Da'ara, the Malchus D'Rakiyas, we have this infrastructure, this mirror Malchus, which is an empty Malchus, just like we have empty spheres. Now, it's gewalt to understand. Like, you go and see, go see an army in action, go see a government in action, go see a king or a president come. What are you seeing? You're seeing Malchus, empty Malchus, but Malchus. Shim Tiska, and you could be Zoicha. If we could be Zoicha, we could see how that whole Malchus Da'ara, what it's going to look like. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Malchus Da'ara for the simple purpose of being able to infuse it with Malchus D'Rakiyah. Clear your sight?
So can we say that republicanism, in a sense, is an anti-Kodesh Baruch Hu thing?
Yeah.
What?
Republicanism.
Anti-Malchus. It's an interesting thing. I once heard the part of this ha'ara from my Rebbe Moshe Shapiro, Olav Shalom. But he said, it's if you'll Google it, you'll see that in the 20th century, I'm saying not him, but in the 20th century, he didn't Google anything, I don't think. in the 20th century, there were 37 million military deaths. Besides for I think it was 77 million people died in war, famine, war, acts of war, etc. But 37 million military deaths. What it means is that people went to the army and died for their country or for their cause. It's really like a Michigan thing. You look at the Chinese, okay, you're the front line. When you die, you take over. When you die, you take over. They're going, pushing, walking suicidally till their death. So what Michigan, they believed so much in the communist regime, or they believed so much in it that they weren't going to say no. I'm not going. When I was a kid in the '60s, there was the billboards all over were like, what if they call a war, nobody comes. Like Gavaldik, what possesses, not just you don't have to be Chinese, Americans, went to Vietnam, gave up their lives, was a cause, not a cause, now they're saying it was a Milchama Shel Shtus. But it's not the point. I'm not getting into the cause of the cause that they were fighting for, the country they were fighting for, but B'chlal, why? Eretz Yisrael, I understand, okay, we're fighting for our biblical heritage, but what's everybody fighting? So the answer is, why would 37 million people die? Many of them voluntarily, millions of them voluntarily. The answer is Malchus. That's Malchus. That's the Malchus Da'ara that HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up in this world. There's a Metzias of Malchus where people fall into the pattern of Malchus. But if that Malchus, which exists in this world until today, whether people like it or not, I think Rav Moshe, what I was going to quote for Rav Moshe, is he said that back in the 60s, when people were in the anti-war movement, when I was a child, maybe some of you remember better than me, they say if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. But back at that time, the anti-war movement gave birth to the Baal Tshuva movement. And the shot is that, in other words, there was a resistance to Malchus Da'ara stam, without a cause. The Malchus Da'ara ultimately has to be filled with Malchus D'Rakiyah. If it's not filled with Malchus D'Rakiyah, so then it's a waste of a Malchus. That's not the purpose of the Malchus. It's like building a beautiful shul and having social parties here without davening. You forgot what you were created for. The whole Malchus Da'ara is all created for the Malchus D'Rakiyah. You take something like Amalek. We read about Purim and Arab Purim, Amalek. The Indian of Amalek is Milchama La Hashem Ba'Amalek. We have a Malchus here. We don't need the Malchus of Shemayim. This is called, in the language of the Nefesh Hachaim, Kitzetz B'Netiyos. You cut things off from their root. We have a Malchus Da'ara. If there's a Malchus Da'ara, so what do we need? What do we need? Parai. What do we need a Malchus? Mi Hashem. What do we need it for? We have the Malchus Da'ara here, and since we have a Malchus Da'ara here, let's celebrate them. And Bnei Yisrael, is coming in their whole raison d'etre of the Bnei Yisrael coming out of Mitzrayim was to create a Malchus Hashem in this world. The whole purpose was to take the Malchus Da'ara and connect it to the Malchus D'Rekiah. Comes Amalek and says, no, we're not connecting. Milchama Hashem ba'Amalek. Chutzpah klapi malo. The Lashon of Chazal. Amalek displayed chutzpah klapi malo. Klipas ha-chutzpah. So what's so bad about chutzpah? You don't hate people for ever generations, ever after, because they had chutzpah. The chutzpah was the nituk. See, I tell you, I said this on Purim. I want to say it again. Like everybody asks this kasha. I mentioned this on Purim. Everybody asks kasha, like, how come Hashem's name is not mentioned in the Megillah? Every sefer. Why is it Hashem's name not mentioned in the Megillah? Many truths. I heard. I know the truths. The kasha is wrong. The whole Megillah is the Shem Hashem. The whole thing is the Shem Hashem. You can't ask a kasha, why does it say the Shem Hashem and the Shem Hashem? The whole thing is the Shem Hashem. Why? Because the Shem Hashem is nothing more. What is the Shem Hashem? Okay, we know the Shem Hashem is Elokim, the Shem Hashem is Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Shem Hashem is Adonai. The Shem Hashem is HaKadosh Baruch Hu manifesting himself in this world. That's Shem Hashem. Yeah. Shem Hashem is not Chibur. Shem Hashem is the manifestation, how it looks, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Megala himself in this world. In this case, it was Benister. But look how Beduyik it is that we had from the time of Yeshua ben Nun. Just tell you the Purim story according to Haber. We had from the time of Yeshua ben Nun through David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech and Malchus Yisrael, and the entire time of Bais Rishon, we had Malchus. And then the Malchus ended with the Chorban Beis HaMikdash. So it was the first time. But the Malchus ended. And then we went to Galus. Some of us went to Persia. So we went to an Iranian Galus. Some went to Bavel, Iraq, Syria, Iran. This is where we went, right here. So all these places. Imagine today. Leave your home, let's go to move to Syria. Let's go to Iraq. Those that moved to Persia saw something that they didn't see in Bavel. They didn't see it in Bavel at that time. They saw Melech HaChashverosh. They saw Malchus. There was a Malchus Da'ara. Sudasai Shalach HaShverish. And they were invited to the Sudasai Shalach HaShverish. They were the Bnei Yisrael that went. They went like Rabbi Yossi went to. They ran to see Malchus.
Or was they good intentions?
Maybe. Let's be down the whole Klal Yisrael Kapschus. They went to see Malchus, and boy, did they see Malchus. They even saw the Kelim of the Beis HaMikdash there. They saw Malchus Da'ara. Maybe their intention was to bring it to Malchus D'Rekiah, but they got stuck. They got stuck in the Malchus Da'ara, as so many people get stuck in politics. They got stuck in the Malchus Da'ara. Atshaba Mordechai Yehudi, and Mordechai Yehudi loy karav lo yishtachav. Mordechai Yehudi said, "No, this whole thing is wrong. What are you getting obsessed with the Malchus Da'ara? That's only good if you're going to bring into it the Malchus D'Shmai." Now, Mordechai, you could say, had a double standard, because Mordechai is standing b'Shaar HaMelech. See the whole thing, the whole Melech. It's all Shem Hashem. Mordechai, it's all about the Malchus. The whole story is all about Malchus. The word Melech appears there so many times. Some your Nusach Svard on top of the page. Mordechai standing b'Shaar HaMelech, he's saving the Melech from Bixen V'Saresh. This wasn't just political that he saved the Melech. He was part of the Malchus too, but the point of the Malchus is Malchus Da'ara is to fill it, imbue it with Malchus D'Rekiah. So Mordechai said, "You're losing your place. You're losing your way. What are you doing there? You're getting involved in government as a cause." It's so interesting in Pirkei Avos. A couple of times it says, "Al tisvada l'rashus, al tikarev shmayis." I think in Perek Aleph and Perek Beis, Rabbi Gamliel b'noisho Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Al tischaber l'rashus. What's rashus? What does it mean? Politics. Shekirvasam ein mekarvin l'adam ela l'serech atzmai. He was warning people not to do what the Jews did el Achashverosh. It's so beduyik because at the time of Rabbi Gamliel ben Noish or Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, there was already peace with the Romans. That's why Rabbi Yehuda Anasi was able to redact the Mishnah. We had cooperation there. It was like America. It was already like a good time. Dida Shel Chesed, the Romans, who after killing us for hundreds of years, all of a sudden, like they became, and Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, who became he took over for his father as the Nasi of Klal Yisrael, said, don't get involved with them. Why? Listen to the words. Because they're in it for themselves. That's a Haman thing. The Haman thing is Amalek. We have a Malchus here. The Malchus can be separate from the Malchus Dirakia. We don't need the Malchus Dirakia. Amalek said, we don't need the Malchus Dirakia. Paro said, Mi Hashem. We don't need the Malchus Dirakia. But they don't understand that the whole purpose of the Malchus Da'ara is to be able to be imbued with the Malchus Dirakia. So we say al tisvadil rashus. Let's just to understand. The diktuk here. The Gemara says that it says in the pasuk, "V'rapa yirape." You should heal a person. Mikan, they say in yeshivas, says the Gemara, "Shenitin rashus l'roife l'rapos." From here we see that a doctor has rashus to heal. Why does a doctor need rashus to heal? Helping chesed, helping somebody. So the answer is, open up the New Art Scroll and you'll see, Mikan shenitin rashus l'roife l'rapos. It doesn't say rashus altogether. I think it's wrong. It's a rashus, like you have the rashus hatachbura or the rashus habayim or whatever, all the different, what's it called in English? The authority, yes. The water authority, the military authority. There are different dominions within the political system. There's a Kadosh Baruch who created a Malchus, that's a Rashus. And he created in that Malchus, a Rashus, there's a dominion of Refuah. And a doctor, because Shenitin Rashus, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in the hands of the doctor the ability and the ability and even the eagerness to heal. Some people have such a thing. That's not the only Rashus, but that's the Rashus. That's the dominion of the doctor. It doesn't mean Rashus. Rashus is Abaratzis. Because you need to take Rashus l'roife l'rapos. So it's all part of the Malchus Da'ara that HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up. What was, let's just go back to Purim for a minute. What was, Mordechai's great move forward? He saves the Melech. I'm all for the Melech. Then ultimately he's riding on the horse of the Melech. What does Haman say? Who does the Melech want to be riding his horse or wearing his clothes? Yoiser bibeni. Obviously, Amalek was giving eitzas to Achashverosh. I don't know where he was from. Shem, Cham, Yaf, I don't know. But Haman was the great advisor because Haman was the Baki in being menatek the Malchusa de Ara from the Malchusa de Rakia. Baki in it. That was his godless, so to speak.
But in the end,
Mordechai took over. What happens? Haman says, obviously, Achashverosh is giving cover to the Malchus, and I'm the advisor to the Malchus, and I'm going to wear the big day Malchus, and I'm going to ride on the sus of the Melech, and Kocha Yasel Ish Asher HaMelech Chafetz B'Karei. And who's riding on the horse? Bilahapachu. The Bilahapachu is that all of a sudden, this was the first Gilui of Mordechai's agenda of bringing the Malchus Da'ara into the Malchus Da'Rakia. Of bringing the Malchus, joining the Malchus Da'ara into the Malchus Da'Rakia. Bringing the Malchus Da'Rakia into the Malchus Da'Ara.
The real meaning of riding the animal, meaning you're
Allah Chamor.
shaylate on it.
Beautiful.
Shaylate on it.
That's it. See, Achashverosh has a discussion with Esther. Not too many discussions there at the Megillah. They didn't talk too much. Today we would send them for counseling. Standing outside, I'm waiting for them to take out a stick, like it's a funny kind of a relationship. But it was a relationship. It was the relationship, the discussion that we know of between the discussion that Mordechai was pushing Esther to, that Esther was afraid of. The discussion was, can you adjoin or can you imbue the Malchus of the Ara with Malchus of the Rakia? Can you bring some Yiddishkeit into this? And she said, I have to do it slowly. And Sumo Allah, I need people to do tshuva. And what does the Melech say to her? Ma b'kosha sech, ma shelo sech, ma b'kosha sech, ad chatzi ha-malchus.
Cut it.
Ad chatzi ha-malchus v'teyas. What's divided even? What's a chatzi ha-malchus? She's the Malka. Yesh breira, so of course, it's chatzi ha-malchus. I always in my heart believe that he was saying, look, let me keep my malchus in the ara, and you take care of the malchus in the rakia. Like a lot of people say to their wives, you take care of the religion, and I'll take care of the money, and we'll be okay. Ad chatzi ha-malchus. He wasn't so wrong, because chatzi ha-malchus, he's harusa de l'sata, he's harusa de l'ela, but no. Ki ha-malchus shelcha einoid milvado is the pshat. Ki ha-malchus shelcha hi ula'ol me'atim loich, that ultimately the malchus has to come down to the oretz, and that's exactly what's going on. What happened? It starts off with the first Gilui of Mordechai riding on his horse, on the king's horse. B'levush malchus, tchelas Mordechai, tchelas Mordechai. Piece of trivia that, here we have multicolored shirts in the room. But in the olden days, in the days of Malchus, you weren't allowed to wear the color tchelas or the color purple. You got arrested if you weren't from the royal family. It was considered, it was very expensive and very hard to get this dye, And what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? Hakalaf psil techelas. If you wear tzitzis, hakalaf psil techelas. If you're a kohen, wear a me'il, which is kulay techelas. The biggest baguette in the whole big dekula is the me'il, kulay techelas. And if you look at the Mishkan from afar, kulay techelas. The whole thing was techelas. It was all blue, purple. It was all this. And if you look at the Shamayim, it's kulay techelas. And if you look at the Yab, it's kulay techelas. And the Kisei HaKavod is kulay techelas. The royalty, the tzitzis, the techelas, the tzitzis techelas, the Mishkan techelas.
Blue blood. You're saying in England, blue blood is royal blood.
Blue blood. That's us. So the purpose, we know the purpose of Malchus Da'ara. We certainly know the purpose of Malchus Dirakia, and the part that's missing is the purpose of Bnei Yisrael, which came out of Mitzrayim simply to be Megala, the Malchus Dirakia into the Malchus Da'ara. That's why we're born.
Kehillat Mordechai had to be shaylet on the representation of the Malchus.
What fits in nicely when you say Chetzi of Malchus, the Madrid Malchus is Ramach. It's 248. So like you're saying, like Achashverosh was saying, I'll take the bottom and we'll take the...
You take the top.
Just to decide, Rashus the rabbis, is it authority or is it the wherewithal to hear?
Both. That goes into the authority. If I'm running a government and I'm the melech and I give you the Rashus HaTachbara, I'm giving you the keys. I'm giving you the authority and the ability and the budget and everything that's needed. So
you're saying that
HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you see,
not that the Raphim wouldn't be able to,
of course
be
not.
able to heal.
Of course not.
Not
be able to
have the
heal.
permission, they wouldn't be
Nothing to
able
do with permission. Forget the word permission.
Okay.
Take permission out of this. There's nothing to do with it.
Knowledge, kalim, resources.
Right.
Not permission. nothing to do with
The
permission.
infrastructure.
I think it's probably more connected to the word reshes than it is to the word rishus.
Network.
I think so. If we want to get etymological here, it could be the word reshes is connected to the word rishus. You have to think about it. But I think it's more connected to reshet than to rishus, to permission. It's just a yeshivish word, rishus. I have rishus, you have rishus, rishus. Rishus, my rabbi, rabbi, it's like, it's kachaza. but Roshus. But again, let's go back to where we started. That the Sefira is Bechlal. Malchus is nothing more than a Sefira. In other words, the story of Megillas Esther, it's just so beautiful on the Estaiti, because the whole story had to be minister. Esther ben Ater B'nayim, Aster Panay Vayem. What is Malchus? Malchus is the lowest, Shuhu, the highest Madrega. The low, when things get mamish into the dirt, that permeates the lowest part. That's called Malchus. Malchus, I don't have a Malchus. If I'm the Melech here, I don't have a Malchus unless every single water carrier has to listen to me and keep my laws. If somebody doesn't keep my laws, they don't pay my taxes, they jaywalk, whatever, you're murdered. The Malchus. Doesn't make a difference who you are, because a Malchus means the totality of it. So the totality of Malchus requires Aster Panay Vayevahu. That even in a place of where it seems like a God-forsaken place of Persia, where the Jews ended up. Imagine today we'd have to end up in Iran. I think it was worse. I think Hubbard is worse than whoever's there. Imagine today we'd have to end up in a place where the whole leadership is anti-Semitic. You see, Malchus is just, sometimes you look at a, see, on the other hand, you see Chazal say, have a mispalo b'shloi b'shel Malchus. Malchus, as much as we're saying, al tisvada l'roshus, al tischaber l'roshus, but roshus is the political system, and have a mispalo b'shloi b'shel Malchus, shel balehem, have a balo echad es chaver, chaim bale. But if you look at the, sometimes, I remember when the President of the United States came to Israel a few months ago. Nothing against the guy. I'm just saying, I'm watching since it's like Yoretz Adam Likras Malchei Hakum, so let's see what it looks like when a president comes to Israel. So wow, 21-gun salute, roll out the red carpet, I didn't even know Jews were capable of giving such covet to like a Pella. I mean, I think if they want to do it right, they got to get a bunch of Gerach Hasidim there or something to do it right. Unbelievable, standing at attention. Why are they standing there? These are Israelis standing at attention with the gun. Unbelievable Malchus. And I'm thinking to myself, self goes self. He's a real estate guy. What's the what is it? What is it? And it's like a real kavod here that's going on. What's the Torah says that had nothing to do with him per se. It had to do with Malchus. So just where does the Malchus of Achashverosh, which I think, by the way, there's a good comparison between President of the United States and Achashverosh. Malach Shaitahai. The Gemara says that, but just it doesn't make a difference. The point is, he was the Malchus of the Ara, and he served as a Kli. So, the Melech Achashverosh marries Esther. This is the ultimate Esther Hamalka, the ultimate of bringing Malchus into the Hester, the ultimate of bringing Malchus into Persia, into the dregs of society. The Belahapachu of getting of Haman is schlepping the horse. He becomes in his place. He's working for the Malchus instead of being the Malchus, meaning there's a chibur between Shemayim Ba'aretz over here. So Esther HaMalka becomes, after the transference of Chatzi HaMalchus, becomes the embodiment of Malchus, has a son and a grandson, Der Yavesh, to build the Beis HaMikdash back in Yerushalayim and proclaim Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Isn't that an interesting repetition of history? Think about all the cast of characters. And probably the Melech doesn't know what's hitting him. Because, Achashverosh and the President of the United States both have Jewish grandchildren. If Esther had children, they were Jewish. So Daryavesh, who gave Rishus, as the Gemara for the Bnei Yisrael, to go back to Eretz Yisrael, the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, to go back to Eretz Yisrael to build the Beis HaMikdash. This was all because Esther married Achashverosh and brought the Malchusa, the Shemaiah, into the Malchusa, the Ara, in the worst kind of an ugly way, if you will. In other words, Esther marrying Achashverosh. So it's hard to even think about Esther marrying Achashverosh. But the Taich of Malchus is it has to go to the lowest place. So, like all the spheres, so this is just like all the spheres, and Malchus is just the ultimate sphere. It's all part of the infrastructure, and what we have in Purim is we have that permeation that took place. Malchus came back to Bnei Yisrael, and on this the Gemara says, "Man Malchei Rabbanon." It was no longer about David Bezaroi at that point. It became the Torah Shebaal Peh, different type of a Malchus. I was thinking maybe that's the Chatzia Malchus, but to us it's a Chatzia Malchus. It's not Malchus, but the Malchus Sholem is when Mashiach comes.
Does the term Karka Olam carry that connotation also?
Very beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
just Karka?
Yes. I mean, I think so.
Yeah?
I have to be distinguished between what I know and what I'm making up. Hopefully, it all has some connection to Abbas, but it just seems to me that that's the Megillas Esther, the Gala the Nister. The Nister is this is the Purim story. Malchus Da'ara became Malchus Dirakia. Our story is the story of taking the spheres of Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, and filling them up. Unto itself, they don't have Kedusha. They only have Kedusha, the spheres only have Kedusha if the Atzmusa Yisbarach, this is the Nefesh Hachaim. The Hagah here, just to learn a little bit of, the Hagah says, in Paragimel, let's just learn a couple of lines here. B'zeh yuvan my marms al b'chazisa. It's Shiurim Rabbah. Al apasik yoinasi tamasi. Do you see it though? My beautiful dove. Yoinasi tamasi. Shlomo Melech spoke about. Reb Yanai Amar. Now, it's a very interesting thing. The Gemara says Yanai. Funny, not a Jewish name, no? Anybody going to name their kid Yanai? So Yanai is John, Ian, as the English people like to say. Ian, Yanai. Who Yanai? Who Yochanan? It was the Greekified version of Yochanan. They were the sons of the Yochanan Kohen Gadol. Became Yanai until the time of the Chashmonaim became Yanai HaMelech. And then became the most common name. But I'm not recommending this, I'm just saying that like the pshat in all of these names, Antigonos, Ishsocho, Yanai, this was all about the permeation of the Malchus de Rakia into the lowest places, sanctify everything around you. So hence Yochanan becomes Yanai. It's the Malon Nitzoitzos, the great tzaddikim like the Baal Shem Tov. So they held, I don't know if everybody held like this, maybe people argue, but he held that the whole tachlis in his generation and the generations to come is to be Malon Nitzoitzos, which is to find the places within the Malchus Da'ara and bring them up and be Mekadosh them to the Malchus Da'ara, draft them to the Malchus Da'ara. That was his whole, I think that was the whole movement. I'm not oversimplifying it, but it's no simple task. But I think that was the whole, everybody knows that you're supposed to do that. It says it in the Zohar. It wasn't a Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov. The Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov was, of Hasidim in general, the Chiddush was that now's the time to do that. We're holding at that time in history but that's the time to do it. But everybody did it a different way. The Bezrat Shemagid did it one way, the Balatanya did it a different way, and everyone did it. Probably the Gra did it also, but his way. But it was. The point is that's the tkufa that we live in, just to be Mamale the sphere. So Yonasi Tama. I just wanted to comment on Yanai Amar to Umasi Kivyachol. Don't read it. It's like a ksiva decree. Don't read it Yoinasi. Read it rather, Yoinasi Tabasi, by beautiful, by simple, like Lashon Tab, Tabibas. Read it rather as Ti'oimasi, says Rabbi Yanai. Listen to the chutzpah and the nuance here. That it's talking about Klal Yisrael as a twin to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. a twin, Monsey. Hashem says, Yoinasi te'oimasi. You are my twin. Loi ani, Lashon the Chazal, Loi ani gadol bimeno, v'loi hi gadol bimeni. It's wild. I'm not any bigger than them, and they're not any bigger than me. U'luchar nifleisi. It's a pella. How could anybody ever say such a thing? But according to the way we're learning, says the Nefesh Hachaim, I can explain it. There's a lot of explanations to this, by the way. If you look at the Medrash, which I did, there's a lot of explanations, but they're not his. Because what it's all about, everything that we're learning is all about how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mischaber to this world. So we can't be mischaber to the world, without the Bnei Yisrael. So in that sense, Bnei Yisrael is an equal partner, because you are the ones that are bringing the Malchus Derikia into the Malchus Da'ara. The only reason Hashem created the world to begin with. The Hischabrusa, and his connection to the world, Aleim Hayarak Bishvil Yisrael. Kimba Barav Zal, Bracious, or Elikim, Bracious Bishvil Yisrael. Shanikra Racious, right? The Gemara says. Bracious, talking about the whole world was created for Klal Yisrael. In other words, Klal Yisrael is not an incidental nation in the whole history of the development of the history of the world. Klal Yisrael was created amongst all the Goyim to bring the Shekhinah into this world. Or, to put it in a new language that we're learning now, to bring the Malchus Derikia into the Malchus Da'ara. Therefore, to Umasi, Lo Ani Gadol B'Menu, V'Lo Hi Gadol B'Menu, Ratzalai Ver B'Shanim. In terms of the B'Shanim means the Hiskalus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world from the moment of Bracious, this was the plan. It was a partnership. You can't call it doesn't mean in terms of equality. Obviously, the Bnei Yisrael are not equal to Hashem. But in terms of the task that's being formed, Chatzia Malchus. The way I understand it. So the Timcha Zecher Amalek is to get rid of the notion that there's something separate from HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, which is, just let me end off with this famous Chazal, Ki yad al kes ka. Ein hakisei shalem. Is there anything that reminds you more of Malchus than the kisei? So the kisei becomes the case, the throne. Ein hakisei shalem. Ve'ein Hashem shalem. The Shem Hashem, as it manifests into the world, that's shalem. Ki yad al kes, missing an aleph, ka, missing a vav k. Eila kisei shalem, ve'ein Hashem shalem, ad shetimcha zecher amalek, says Chazal. Until you're Baruch zecher amalek. Why? Because the whole zecher amalek is milchama la'Hashem ba'amalek. The whole thing is, no, disconnect. Habad. It's all habad. Disconnect. We don't have any need for the Malchus of the Rakia. We took it for ourselves. Like the Migdal Bavel. This Asalad Ushay. We take it for ourselves. Because Baruch Hu, you're missing the whole point. Kill Amalek. Wipe out Amalek and bring the Malchus Hashem into this world. And that's the taich of the Geula. That's the Pshat of the Bias HaMashiach. Have everybody a good